if I'm wearing my analyst hat and I'm thinking I need as much data as I possibly can to drill down into, to investigate and sift through. If an XDR product seeks to somewhat reduce that labor intensive task, what's kind of the response to an analyst who's saying, I need all the data? Is it really that they actually don't need all the data if they have the right data to sift through and investigate?
That's right. That's a great point. So the some XDRs may, in fact, ingest data sources that a SIM would not.
Hmm.
Usually, when SIMs are installed, however the IT infrastructure is, however it's configured, someone will set up export of everything they can to the SIM, and that may be, and they often don't reconfigure their infrastructure to send all the data that might be needed. The reason someone wants a general purpose tool like a SIM is because the primary activity is alert triage. So you get an
Hmm.
alert. How important is this alert? There might be a score from within the software, but 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 the triage process involves finding other data to put that alert into context, that single alert into
Hmm.
context, and finding corroborative information. And it's often a very difficult process. There's all kinds of jokey metaphors about how analysts will have six different screens up with six different products. But that's really what the workflow is like. You get an
Yeah.
alert on one, you're trying to find information on another,
Yeah.
and the way that the data is structured from different source to different source is often makes that very difficult, and that's why analysts have to be experts in all those sources, because they have to know, if I get a endpoint alert from Microsoft, I need to figure out what the IP address of that is from another data source to find out who the user was, and they have to manually piece all that together. And so when a user of a SIM wants all the data, they want all that data so they can do that drill down investigation of everything.
Hmm.
However, there's still a huge excess of data that would never be used during alert triage. And frankly, there might be data sources required for that alert triage that aren't being pulled into the SIM effectively. And so the direction that the industry is going with newer XDRs is to pull the specific pieces, including inventory information and what might be considered auxiliary or generally unimportant information, so that those pieces can be trailed together as an automated way as possible.
Hmm. That makes sense. That makes a ton of sense. Because really, it's not about needing all of the data. It's about needing the data that conveys security related information or processing, etc.
That's right, and importantly, that just to put a fine point on it, that security related information may not be security related in and of itself, but that
Hmm.
piece of information
Mhm.
might be critical to pair one alert with another alert.
That's a
Mm,
great point. Can you give us just a little tidbit of an
yeah.
example of what data that might be?
So I'll give you an example. Let's say that I'm a customer and I'm running O365 Microsoft for my email and document access, and I'm using, say, CrowdStrike for endpoint detection. If I get an alert from CrowdStrike, I want to find out whose laptop it is, whose device it is. Is it a mobile device? Is it something I'm tracking? And more information about who was logged in at that time, what other things may have been going on. But you know, maybe 10 years ago, all of our documents were on our laptops, but now most of the work people do day to day is documents stored in the cloud. So
Hmm.
to see what else is going on, I might need to pull information from the Microsoft ecosystem about shared files, remotely accessed files, or even just login information. And those are right there, four different data sources. And some of those
Hmm.
just relate to file access. And maybe that's not normally part of your security workflow, but that information is absolutely essential to tie those different pieces together across the vendor space. And for modern XDRs, that's the kind of information that you would pull in, so you can help make that more automated and easier to do.
Thank you for that example and that use case, Dean. That was really helpful.